Good morning, sense of things. It's Jeff and Ron here again for another wonderful world of what's going on in the crazy world of economy, US, and just a few crazy fun facts here and there. Hey, Ron, how you doing?
Good morning. Doing well. Based on the last couple of podcasts, I hopefully have a lot of very useful facts for us today because those were always some fun things. Always
Yep.
get some good comments. So anything that's useful is always good.
Absolutely. Why don't we kick ourselves off? Of course, we're going into Memorial Day weekend this weekend. And why don't we kick it off with some of your fun stuff that you have with bad business decisions? Because that's been a big kicker lately.
Okay. All right. Let me
And
up
I have
here.
to give props to you because you did the bad business decisions about Red Lobster. And a week later, Red Lobster filed for bankruptcy. So they listened to you.
Anyway, I just read another article yesterday. They are blaming not just the all-you-can-eat shrimp, but
Okay.
now they're blaming the largest investor and the former CEO. So
Okay.
they got to blame somebody. So
Yeah.
that's
Couldn't be that we were just a really bad business and it didn't work. So
no. And the consumer has been changing in the last 4 years and
sure.
they didn't adopt. So what are you going to do? All right. So I got two good ones here. RCA. I guess you have to be of a certain age to remember this
Yep.
company. This company over 100 years ago was the Amazon, the Apple, the Microsoft, and the
Mm-hmm.
Nvidia of its world at the time
Yep.
because they were real big with radios and
Mm-hmm.
then record players. They basically controlled the dissemination of information and entertainment for decades.
Yeah.
And I thought reading this was interesting, but I if you read it in the middle here, it tried to expand, right? Because it couldn't keep up with TV.
Sure.
So they bought Random House Publisher. I didn't know this. They own Hertz and
Okay.
frozen food banquet maker Banquet, which I've seen. I've never bought any of that stuff, but they own both the publishing house and Hertz.
Yeah.
And then, of course,
Okay.
you can see in the upper left here that its peak revenue, rather ironically, was 8 billion in 8081. But I don't know how much of that was their core business or how much of that was Hertz or Random House. But I thought it was interesting.
The funny part is that is the complete. I think I think this was an example that Peter Lynch gave in his book One Up on Wall Street, where he talked about companies diversifying, and I think he gave RCA as an example of diversification, getting into a bunch of these random businesses that they don't know anything about and trying to be successful, and all they end up doing is being not successful with any of them, including their
Well,
core business.
you could make an argument on the publishing with information and media and whatever, but I thought it was interesting because obviously they just fell off the face of the earth in 5 years, and Jack Welch in '86 scooped them up for probably a major discount.
Yeah. And
So
then basically did nothing with it because they don't even use the RCA brand anymore.
no, but there still is an RCA building in Camden, New Jersey that they converted to condos.
There we
Seriously.
go.
And here's one of my favorite ones, American Motors. I mean, you want to talk about a poorly run company
Yep.
missing the market with the Japanese invasion of their cars in the late 60s, 70s, and 80s. And then finally, they were bought out by another struggling company that came up from the depths of disaster in '87. People typically remember American Motors three different ways. So I'll give you the best one. The best one was in 1974 in the James Bond movie when he did a sideways loop to loop over the ramp. That was,
Mm.
I'm sorry, that was Live and Let Die. That
Yep.
was Live
Live
and
and
Let
let
Die
die.
in 71 or 73.
Mm.
And then, of course, they're known for the Pinto, which,
No, they are
oh, they're
known for
not the
the
Pinto?
Pacer. The
No,
Pacer.
no. And that's where that third one, the Pacer, for the
Yeah.
ugliest car in history that
Yes.
was last featured and got a bump in Wayne's World, the 1982 movie.
Absolutely. And it is one of the most collectible 1970s cars today. Next
And
to
the
the
funny thing was they
AMC
tried to make it
Gremlin.
look space age with all the glass around it, with all the which oh god, that was
There is my favorite. I watch tons of automotive media and all that. And there was a YouTube thing where it had a fully blown Pinto, or excuse me, a fully blown Pacer and a fully blown Gremlin racing
oh
against each other. Awesome. The two
the Gremlin
greatest
was as
cars of the
bad as the Pinto.
1970s.
They were kind of similar cars.
Oh yeah. No, the Grimmy's the baddest of them all, but yeah.
All right. So I thought this was interesting. I saw this, and of course, you swipe it. So looking at prices of food going back 5 years ago to now.
Oof.
So looking at the McDonald's, Taco Bell, and Chick-fil-A, I love Chick-fil-A, but it comes back to bite me the next day with all its sodium. Not
Yeah.
that everybody needed to know that, but they do have the best vanilla shakes.
Mm.
Chick-fil-A has the best vanilla shakes. So I thought this was interesting that basically almost all of this is 100% increase.
Yeah. Wow.
Now, how much of the input cost of this increase is labor
Mhm.
versus actual food
Just
and
raw
supply
cost.
chain?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. You figure some of these things, well, especially chicken was massive, especially in, you figure in, was it 2021 or 2022 where we had that massive, they had to cull all the chickens because of the bird flu that was going around. And the price of chicken went through the roof there for several years. So anybody that had exposure to chicken, it was probably pretty ugly.
And I thought this was the other part of this was interesting as another useless fact for our audience that it tried to identify this. McDonald's identified the source of where they got the prices.
Yeah.
Do you know what Figueroa Street is known for in Los Angeles?
Not a clue.
Prostitution and drugs.
Sweet.
Why they chose that area to
The most
gather
random
the
place
median
in
prices for
LA you
McDonald's,
could
I have
choose.
no idea.
Yeah.
By the way,
Yeah.
I don't know from firsthand experience. I'm just aware.
Just saying.
So another couple of things I thought was interesting, doing a little nostalgia. Instead of 5 years, let's go back 30. Look at just the input of inflation into the economy and the stimulus. As far as you take a look at 1994, of all these major companies, and of all these major companies, really only Mobile and Walmart have really grown and excelled and flourished.
Yeah.
IBM has gone up and down, is trying to make another comeback. AT&T has languished. Philip Morris has languished. Sears isn't even around anymore. And
Mm.
GE, everybody likes to look at their stock price, but people don't realize they did a 1-for-10 split, not a 10-for-1 split. Wherever the price is now, you got to look, divide that by 10. That's
Yeah.
where it was pre-split. But all that adds up to $841 trillion. The top stocks here have surpassed it. Just Amazon and Walmart, if you want to add it up, Exxon and Amazon surpassed all those companies combined in
It's
1994.
amazing. Yeah, amazing. And it's a kind of an interesting split. You would think, oh, it's all tech companies, but you've got Chevron and Mobil that are in there. You've got McKesson, which is in its own industry, Berkshire Hathaway. That's largely been him just acquiring companies that were on the left side of the chart there for a while.
Remember, back in the day, 30 years ago, obviously IBM was a tech company,
Yep.
and AT&T were trying to make themselves out to be a tech company,
Yeah.
and they were not. But notice back then, even though they're just trying to give you a comparison, where's Microsoft and Apple was 1994, they were near the bottom.
Yeah.
Steve Jobs didn't come back to what, 97 or 98.
Funny thing, as I look at Ford as an example, I don't think it's moved in. It's been in a trading range for as long as I can remember back now.
It's been dead money for 20 years, I think, near 20.
Yeah, GM's gone up a little bit, but Ford, literally, I look at that and I'm just like, okay, it's not moved at all. It's amazing to me that investors have hung in there.
Yeah. And just talking a little bit about market conditions without getting too wonky about this. So, folks, on the right side, we've gone through this before. RSI, Relative Strength Index, basically anything below 30 is considered oversold, meaning that you're going to look for a bump, and anything over 70 is considered overbought. We're at 91.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't stay up here forever, and we always see what kind of the downside is here. But I thought this was just a quick, interesting, colorful chart, doing a good visual. And then this is a different, because we've always done the CNN Greed and Fear Index. This is another one comparing a lot of different sentiments out there that when they combine it all together, the AAII, most people are familiar with, that's the investment sentiment index, and obviously the VIX, people are familiar with, and it's in extreme greed conditions, and it has been, looks like, for the last 6 to 8 months, which probably since last October when we hit bottom at the end. of October, like around October 27th.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts here?
I think it's just, once again, people had we saw that little pull. I mean, we saw a pretty decent pullback in April. And then all of a sudden the market's just right back up and beyond that at this point, and the world is wonderful. I think we had a little bit of a blip this week because once again, people reading the Fed's minutes and, oh, they're probably going to raise interest rates again. Okay, no, that's not what it said. Once again, I heard that this morning.
They said unlikely.
It's unlikely. Okay, then that means that it could be likely. Yeah, it also is possibly as likely as us seeing a meteor hit the planet. Yes, it could happen. It's very unlikely that it will go up, and it's very unlikely, I think personally, that it's going to go down anytime soon. I think we stay where we're at.
The election, unless there's got to be a catalyst or a trigger or something.
Some horrible thing is going to have to happen to cause it to go down, and I don't necessarily see that at this point. But I think as we go into our next episode, I've got some stuff for that next episode where I think there's some things on the horizon that are starting to show up that we might have some issues when it comes to that. So I'll tease that for everybody. Watch the next episode, and I've got some kind of charts to show where the consumer is right now, at least in some aspects from a credit standpoint.
Yeah, definitely want to wish everybody a happy Memorial Day weekend. Honor our military, and certainly get the barbecue out. There's nothing better than a good barbecue.
And saw this morning that the Marines and the Air Force actually beat their recruiting goals. Army and Navy, not so much at this point. Now, Air Force did it by adjusting their requirements to get in. That although they made a point of saying that everybody that's in is making it through training and getting into better shape, but they had to change it a little bit because our current recruiting crop is a little out of shape.
Yeah, and just as a tease, and I know we got to wrap up, if all the recruiting goals are up, they lower the standards to get people into certain branches. Those are also considered government jobs.
Of course. Yep, we'll need that. And we definitely need a whole bunch more on the Army and the Navy side. So we'll see how that works out. All right, folks, thank you for joining us. We love doing these shows for you, and we're trying to make them as quick as we possibly can. So quick hit and get off. So thank y'all for joining us. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel because there's going to be a lot of these coming out. And make sure you give us an upvote or some comments. We'd love to hear from you. So thanks a lot, and we will see you back here the very next time.